Imagine being born into complete darkness, unable to see, covered in wrinkled skin, and immediately put to work in an underground city that never sleeps. Sounds like a nightmare, right? But for one remarkable creature, this is just the beginning of one of nature's most fascinating survival stories. Today we're diving deep into the bizarre, incredible world of the naked mole rat, an animal that's rewriting everything scientists thought they knew about aging, pain, and even cancer. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll understand why researchers are calling this wrinkly little rodent the key to unlocking human immortality. Before we tunnel any deeper, if you love learning about the strangest creatures on our planet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We're exploring the wildest animal facts every single week, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Let's start at the very beginning. A naked mole rat's entry into the world is nothing like the warm, fuzzy greeting most mammals receive. Born in pitch-black tunnels beneath the Horn of Africa, specifically in the arid regions of Ethiopia, Kenya, and Somalia, these tiny creatures emerge blind, hairless, and weighing less than a paperclip. There's no gentle nursing period or protective hovering. Within hours of birth, these newborns are already being nudged toward their life's work, digging, maintaining tunnels, and serving the colony. But here's where things get interesting. Unlike almost every other mammal on Earth, naked mole rats don't operate as individuals. They've evolved a social structure so unique that scientists classify them as eusocial, the same category as bees, ants, and termites. In the entire mammal kingdom, only 2 species have achieved this level of social organization, and the naked mole rat is the most extreme example. What does eusocial mean? It means the colony functions as a single superorganism, where individual survival takes a back seat to the survival of the group. At the center of this underground empire sits the queen, and she's not just a figurehead. She's the only female in the entire colony who reproduces, and she can live up to 30 years while giving birth to over 900 pups in her lifetime. That's not a typo. 900. Recent research from 2025 has revealed something even more astonishing. The queen actually changes the brain chemistry of her workers through scent signals. Scientists at the Max Planck Institute discovered that the queen releases specific pheromones that suppress the reproductive systems of other females in the colony, essentially keeping them in a permanent state of non-breeding worker mode. It's chemical mind control, and it's completely natural. Now, you might be thinking, that sounds pretty dystopian. And you'd be right, from a human perspective. But evolution doesn't care about fairness. It cares about what works. And for naked mole rats living in one of the harshest environments on the planet, where food is scarce and predators are everywhere, this system works incredibly well. Let's talk about the working conditions, because they're unlike anything else in the animal kingdom. The colony is divided into castes, just like an ant colony. There are the frequent workers, the smallest members who do most of the digging and tunnel maintenance. Then there are the infrequent workers, slightly larger individuals who focus on gathering food and defending the colony. And finally, there are the soldiers, the biggest non-breeding members whose job is to protect the queen and fight off any threats. But here's where the story gets even stranger. These roles aren't set in stone. Scientists discovered in late 2024 and confirmed in 2025 that naked mole rats can actually change castes depending on the colony's needs. If the colony loses a lot of soldiers to a predator attack, Some of the workers will literally grow larger and take on soldier duties. Their bodies physically transform to meet the colony's requirements. It's like having a workforce that can shapeshift based on demand. The tunnels themselves are architectural marvels. A single colony's tunnel system can stretch for up to 3 miles underground, with chambers designated for specific purposes: nurseries for the pups, food storage rooms, toilet chambers, and even a special bedroom for the queen. The frequent workers are constantly digging, using those enormous front teeth that grow outside their lips. Yes, you heard that right. Their incisors actually protrude through their lips so they can chew through soil without getting dirt in their mouths. They can move their teeth independently like chopsticks, and their lips seal behind the teeth to keep everything else out. Here's a detail that'll blow your mind. Naked mole rats can move backwards just as fast as they can move forwards. Their tunnel systems are so narrow that turning around is often impossible, so evolution gave them the ability to reverse at full speed, using their tails as a guide. Watching them scurry backwards while carrying a chunk of root vegetable is one of the strangest sights in nature. Speaking of food, these creatures are vegetarians, surviving entirely on underground tubers and roots. But not just any roots. They specifically target enormous tubers that can weigh up to 100 pounds. When a worker discovers one of these massive food sources, they don't harvest the whole thing. Instead, they eat from the inside out, leaving the outer layer intact so the tuber continues to grow and regenerate. It's sustainable farming, underground edition, and they've been doing it for millions of years before humans figured out agriculture. Most people have this completely wrong about naked mole rats and pain. For decades, scientists noticed these animals seemed indifferent to injuries that would send other rodents into shock. Burns, cuts, even exposure to acid didn't seem to bother them much. Researchers initially thought they just had a high pain tolerance. But the truth is far more incredible. In 2025, new studies from the University of Cambridge revealed that naked mole rats have evolved a completely different pain pathway than other mammals. They lack a specific neurotransmitter called substance P in their sensory neurons, which means they literally cannot feel certain types of pain, particularly the burning sensation caused by acid and capsaicin, the chemical that makes chili peppers hot. Why would evolution do this? Because in their underground environment, carbon dioxide levels can get dangerously high, creating acidic conditions that would be agonizing for other animals. By eliminating this pain response, naked mole rats can work in conditions that would be unbearable for any other mammal. But scientists didn't expect what they found next. When researchers tested the naked mole rat's response to other stimuli, they discovered these animals also don't feel pain from heat the same way we do. They can tolerate temperatures up to 120 degrees Fahrenheit without showing distress. In the hot, arid regions where they live, this adaptation is crucial for survival. Now let's address the elephant in the room, or should I say, the wrinkly rodent in the tunnel. These animals look absolutely bizarre. Their skin is pink, wrinkled, and almost translucent. They have virtually no hair except for tiny sensory whiskers scattered across their bodies. Those whiskers aren't just for show. They're incredibly sensitive touch receptors that help the mole rats navigate in complete darkness, detect vibrations from predators above ground, and even communicate with colony members through subtle touches. The lack of fur isn't just a cosmetic quirk. Naked mole rats are thermoconformers, meaning they can't regulate their body temperature internally like most mammals. Instead, their body temperature fluctuates with their environment, more like a reptile than a mammal. When it gets too cold, they huddle together in massive puppy piles, sharing body heat. When it gets too hot, they retreat to deeper, cooler chambers. This ability to tolerate temperature fluctuations saves enormous amounts of energy, which is crucial when food can be scarce for months at a time. But here's where the story takes an absolutely fascinating turn. Remember how I mentioned these animals might hold the key to human immortality? I wasn't exaggerating. Naked mole rats have become one of the most studied animals in medical research, and for good reason. They possess several traits that seem almost supernatural. First, they're virtually immune to cancer. In over 60 years of studying thousands of naked mole rats in laboratories around the world, scientists have documented fewer than 10 cases of cancer. That's an infection rate so low it's almost statistically impossible. Compare that to mice, who have a cancer rate of about 95%, and you start to understand why researchers are obsessed with figuring out their secret. In 2005, scientists at the Barshop Institute finally cracked a major part of the code. Naked mole rats produce an unusually high amount of a molecule called high molecular weight hyaluronan, or HMW. This substance is found in the spaces between their cells and acts like a protective shield, preventing cells from clustering together and forming tumors. Human cells produce hyaluronan too, but ours is a much smaller molecule that breaks down quickly. The naked mole rat version is 5 times larger and incredibly stable, creating a nearly impenetrable barrier against cancer formation. But wait, there's more. These animals also show virtually no signs of aging for most of their lives. While a typical mouse might live 2 to 3 years and show obvious signs of decline after the first year, naked mole rats can live past 30 years and remain healthy, active, and reproductively capable until just before they die. A study published in early 2025 found that naked mole rat mortality rates don't increase with age the way they do in virtually every other mammal. A 25-year-old naked mole rat has roughly the same chance of dying on any given day as a 5-year-old. That completely violates what we thought we knew about aging. Their cardiovascular systems don't deteriorate. Their bones don't become brittle. Their neurons don't die off in massive numbers. They just keep going, like biological batteries that refuse to run down. Scientists are now studying their DNA repair mechanisms, their cellular recycling processes, and their resistance to oxidative stress, hoping to translate these discoveries into treatments for human age-related diseases. If you're enjoying these mind-blowing facts, do me a favor and smash that like button. It helps more animal lovers discover these incredible stories, and it lets me know you want more content like this. Now, let's talk about the darker side of life underground, because it's not all cancer immunity and eternal youth. Naked mole rats face genuine dangers every single day. Snakes are their primary predators, particularly rufous-beaked snake species that have evolved the ability to navigate narrow tunnels. When a snake enters the colony, chaos erupts. But instead of every rat fleeing in panic, the soldiers immediately rush toward the threat. What happens next is both brutal and fascinating. The soldier mole rats don't try to fight the snake directly. Instead, they form a living barricade, piling their bodies together to block the tunnel, while other workers frantically dig new passages to seal off the affected section. Some soldiers will sacrifice themselves, allowing the snake to grab them while their colony mates escape. It's a level of altruistic behavior that's extremely rare in the animal kingdom, and it only works because of their eusocial structure. These soldiers aren't protecting their own offspring because they'll never have any. They're protecting their siblings, all of whom share the queen's genes. Recent research has shown that this self-sacrifice isn't just instinct, it's strategic. Colonies that lose soldiers to predators actually recover faster than colonies that lose frequent workers, because soldiers are easier to replace and less essential to daily operations. It's cold, calculated evolutionary math, but it keeps the colony alive. Above ground, naked mole rats face threats from birds of prey, particularly during the rare occasions when workers venture to the surface to kick out excavated dirt. These surface trips are incredibly dangerous, and workers move with lightning speed, spending no more than a few seconds in the open before diving back underground. Some colonies have even evolved a rotation system where different workers take turns making these dangerous trips, spreading the risk across multiple individuals. But predators aren't the only threat. Tunnel collapses are a constant danger, especially during the rare rainy seasons when the soil becomes unstable. When a collapse occurs, workers immediately spring into action, digging frantically to free any trapped colony members. The success rate for these rescue operations is surprisingly high, largely because naked mole rats can survive without oxygen for up to 18 minutes. Yes, 18 minutes. They accomplish this by switching their metabolism from glucose-based to fructose-based energy production, a trick previously thought to be impossible in mammals. This discovery, confirmed in 2025, has massive implications for treating heart attacks and strokes in humans, where oxygen deprivation causes rapid cell death. Let's shift gears and talk about something that surprised even veteran researchers. Naked mole rats have distinct dialects. In 2025, a team from the University of Pretoria analyzed vocalizations from 12 different colonies and found that each colony has its own unique accent in their chirping patterns. Pups learn this dialect from the queen and their older siblings, and it serves as a colony identification system. When a naked mole rat from a different colony accidentally wanders into foreign tunnels, the residents can immediately tell from its chirps that it's an outsider, and they'll attack it viciously. This dialect system is so precise that researchers can now identify which colony a recording came from just by analyzing the pitch and rhythm of the chirps. It's a level of cultural transmission that we typically associate with dolphins, whales, and primates, not rodents living in pitch-black tunnels. Communication in the colony goes far beyond vocalizations. Naked mole rats use a complex system of touch, scent, and even seismic signals, vibrations transmitted through the ground, to coordinate their activities. When a worker discovers food, it doesn't just chirp. It performs a specific pattern of movements, almost like a dance, that signals other workers to follow. The queen uses forceful shoves and nips to direct workers toward specific tasks, essentially managing her workforce through physical commands. The queen's power is absolute, but it's not permanent. In the wild, queens can be overthrown, usually by a coalition of larger female workers who gang up on the aging monarch. These succession battles are violent and can last for hours, with the challengers biting and shoving the queen until she's either killed or driven out of the colony. Once a new queen takes over, something remarkable happens. Her body begins to change. Her vertebrae actually stretch, making her longer than the other females. Her metabolism shifts to support continuous reproduction, and she starts producing those controlling pheromones that will keep her new subjects in line. This physical transformation was documented in detail in a 2025 study that tracked several colonies through queen succession events. Researchers found that the transformation begins within 48 hours of taking power and is complete within 2 weeks. It's one of the most dramatic examples of phenotypic plasticity, the ability of an organism to change its physical form in response to environmental conditions, ever observed in mammals. Now, you might be wondering about conservation. Are these incredible animals threatened? The good news is that naked mole rats are currently listed as least concern by the International Union for Conservation of Nature. Their range is relatively stable, and they're highly adaptable to habitat changes as long as there's soil to dig in and tubers to eat. However, climate change poses a potential long-term threat. As rainfall patterns shift and droughts become more severe in the Horn of Africa, the underground tubers that naked mole rats depend on may become scarcer. Conservation efforts are currently focused on preserving the arid grassland ecosystems where these animals live, not just for the mole rats themselves, but for the dozens of other species that share their habitat. Interestingly, naked mole rat tunnels actually benefit the ecosystem by aerating soil and redistributing nutrients, creating better conditions for plant growth. They're ecosystem engineers, shaping their environment in ways that benefit countless other organisms. In captivity, naked mole rats have become invaluable research subjects. Zoos and research institutions around the world maintain breeding colonies, and these facilities have made tremendous contributions to our understanding of aging, cancer, and pain. The National Zoo in Washington, D.C. has one of the longest-running colonies, with some individuals now over 30 years old and still going strong. Here's something that'll make you appreciate these animals even more. They're helping us prepare for space travel. Seriously, NASA researchers are studying naked mole rats because their ability to survive in low-oxygen environments and resist radiation damage, another recently discovered trait, could inform life support systems for long-duration space missions. Their resistance to muscle and bone loss, despite living in cramped conditions, could also help us understand how to keep astronauts healthy during multi-year journeys to Mars. The radiation resistance discovery came from a 2025 study that exposed naked mole rats to radiation levels that would be lethal to mice. The mole rats not only survived, but showed minimal DNA damage. Researchers believe this is related to the same cellular mechanisms that prevent cancer, creating multiple layers of protection against genetic damage. Let's talk about one final aspect of naked mole rat biology that's absolutely mind-blowing: their relationship with oxygen. We already mentioned they can survive 18 minutes without it, but there's more to the story. Naked mole rats live in environments where carbon dioxide levels can reach 5%, compared to the 0.04% in normal air. That amount of CO2 would cause severe respiratory distress in humans, but naked mole rats have evolved hemoglobin with a higher affinity for oxygen, allowing them to extract every possible molecule from the stale air in their tunnels. Even more impressive, their brains have adapted to function normally in these low oxygen conditions. While a human brain deprived of oxygen for just 5 minutes suffers permanent damage, a naked mole rat brain can keep working for much longer without injury. This has led to breakthrough research into neuroprotective strategies for stroke victims, with clinical trials beginning in late 2025 based on compounds isolated from naked mole rat brain tissue. So what can we learn from these wrinkly, bizarre, absolutely fascinating creatures? First, that evolution doesn't optimize for individual happiness or comfort. It optimizes for survival and reproduction, and sometimes that means creating social systems that seem harsh by our standards, but work incredibly well in context. Second, that some of nature's most valuable secrets are hidden in the strangest places. Nobody looked at a naked mole rat and thought, "That's the key to curing cancer." But here we are. Third, that cooperation and sacrifice can be powerful evolutionary strategies. Naked mole rats have survived for millions of years in one of Earth's harshest environments by working together, sharing resources, and putting the colony's needs above individual desires. There's something profound in that, even if we wouldn't want to live that way ourselves. As we wrap up this deep dive into the underground world of naked mole rats, I want you to think about this. These animals have been living beneath our feet, completely invisible to most of humanity, solving problems that we're only just beginning to understand. They've conquered cancer, aging, pain, and oxygen deprivation. They've built societies that function like clockwork without laws, police, or government. They've survived for millions of years in conditions that would kill most other mammals in hours. The naked mole rat isn't just a weird curiosity. It's a masterpiece of evolution, a living laboratory, and potentially the key to extending and improving human life. Every time scientists think they've figured these animals out, another surprise emerges. Who knows what we'll discover next? If this video changed the way you think about these incredible creatures, do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our weekly explorations of the animal kingdom's most fascinating residents. Drop a comment below telling me what animal you want me to cover next. Should we go deep underwater, high into the mountains, or stay underground with some of the naked mole rat's equally bizarre neighbors? Thanks for watching, and remember, the natural world is full of wonders hiding in the most unexpected places. Sometimes you just have to be willing to dig a little deeper.